Good afternoon. My name is Barb Triplett, and I am from San Antonio and work in Northside Independent School District. I am so excited to be able to be spending some time with you today at the TSR Institute, looking at ways to engage our youngest learners utilizing the 5 ingredients of active learning in an especially important component of our day, which is small group instruction. Although the caveat is that any of these strategies could be transferred to large group as well, but we know as early childhood educators our biggest impact is going to take place in those small group settings. And so hope today you'll get some tools to help facilitate better engagement. The virtual norms are a little different since this is a pre-recorded session, but I wanted to make sure that you could at least connect with each other since I wasn't able to be with you in person today. So cameras on for connection, microphones off for listening so everyone can hear. Take notes in any form that works for you. Stay engaged, and believe it or not, there's an opportunity for you to play along. So first of all, who am I and where am I from? We are a public school district in San Antonio, Texas. Our early childhood program supports just about 175 pre-K-4 gen ed classrooms, approximately 150 ECSE or early childhood special education classrooms in all forms. Some of those classrooms are collaborative with our pre-K classrooms, and some of them are self-contained, which of course is depicted by our students' ARD and what is the best and most appropriate setting for them. We also support kindergarten, and we currently have 325 classrooms and roughly 400 instructional assistants that are spread among those pre-K-4 gen ed classrooms and the 150 ECSE classrooms. Our team provides teacher coaching and mentoring. We provide professional development. One of our favorite things to do is to go out to classrooms and visit and offer feedback. We also provide support at the campus level through PLCs and improvement plan work. We do curriculum writing. We also support special ed compliance through participating in ARDs when needed. We are in charge of the inventory, so that means purchasing it, inventorying it, managing it, help getting it where it needs to be, and additional supports as needed for our curriculum. And we are part of family engagement and provide resources and support for our teachers so they can connect with those families. As for me, I mentioned my name is Barb Triplett. I've been an early childhood educator for 38 years. It's a little scary to say that, but I'm going to include my college years because I started working with children as soon as I entered the college space. Matter of fact, I actually worked with children while I was in high school, which is what led me to want to become a teacher. I've worked with two-year-old to 6-year-olds and children identified as as having special needs in collaborative settings. I currently lead the Northside ISD Early Childhood Program, and my favorite fun fact is I'm a grandma to 3 beautiful babies. So today's objectives. We're going to experience before label. This is actually a quantum strategy that works well with students, giving them the opportunity to explore before we start making those meaningful connections through content. We're going to try that today. We will explore the 5 ingredients of active learning. What are they? Why do we need them? And how can you facilitate them in the classroom? We will have a chance to apply what we learn. And then finally, we'll plan next steps. How can you take today's learning, turn it around, and put it into practice? So first, let's experience before label. Please take a moment, I'll give you 2 minutes, to grab an everyday household item that you conveniently have available. Ready, set, go. have about 30 more seconds. All right. I hope everyone is back and ready. As you can imagine, creating a hands-on experience virtually is a challenge, but when we began to brainstorm ways we could do this, we thought this might be interesting. So hopefully in front of you, you have an everyday household item that that was conveniently available to you. Now, I want you to take a minute or two and explore it. And as you do, I want you to think to yourself, I know what this is normally used for, but what else could I use it for? Let's take a minute and think. Now, if this were a virtual session, I would have you post in the chat, what did you select? What new and novel way could you use that item for? And I would have you read others' responses. Since this is a recorded session, that's not possible today. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you what I chose. So when I looked around my house, I looked in my drawer and I found a spoon that's slotted and is able to grab spaghetti out of a hot pot of boiling water so you don't burn yourself. And I said to myself, what else could I use this for besides spaghetti? So for me, obvious would be, well, I could use it as a scooper for my sand. Maybe I want to scoop toys, beads, or objects from a sandbox. Maybe I want to use it as a back scratcher, right? Something new and different. Maybe I want to use it to paint with because I like the different lines that it can make in the paint or in shaving cream. As you can imagine, the list or the ideas could go on and on forever. However, hopefully, as I would be sharing this with someone in, let's say, a conversation, they might also say, but you know what? You could also use it for this. Or maybe you could use it for something different that you hadn't thought of. So let's debrief this just in the personal setting of what you just did perhaps on your own. How did it feel to choose your own item? Would it have been better if I had said, everyone go grab a stapler? Or did you feel a sense of freedom when you were able to pick and choose what was close, convenient, maybe personal to you or to someone that you know? Did you have plenty of materials to choose from? Did you have to share with anyone? And we know, right, you're probably watching this by yourself in the comfort of your home. So chances are you had lots of materials to choose from, and you probably did not have to share with someone. But what if you were watching this with some friends or your team? Would you have to share? Could you make sure that everyone had something to choose from? Were you able to explore it and manipulate it? Could you pick it up, feel it, move it, twist it? Change its direction? Did the question to ponder help guide your thinking? When I said, how could you use this in a way that you don't normally use? Was it challenging? Was it difficult to think of something? I know it was for me. Did someone pick the same thing as you, but identified how to use it differently? And this, of course, would have taken place had we had this in virtual or in person. And do you feel like you would have been surprised, potentially, if somebody had chosen something like you or very different from you, and to find out how they would have used it differently? And then, obviously, we did this recorded, but how could you take the opportunity to share your thinking with others? Why are these important? because every piece of that step that we just went through explores the 5 ingredients of active learning. They are, number 1, materials. Every child has their own materials. That way they don't have to share and argue and fight. Number 2, materials are open-ended enough to provide for a hands-on experience. So are they able to twist, bend, switch, move, manipulate? Is there choice? Do the children have an opportunity for input or choice? And that's a big one, because oftentimes people think choice is complicated or huge, when actually it could be as simple as, what color do you want to use? Or we're writing today, do you want to write with pencil or pen or marker or crayon? A choice could be as simple as, do you want to have your paper horizontal or vertical? So choice is super, super important because it empowers children. Child language and thought. So children are communicating with adults and with their peers. We have a saying in the early childhood space, a quiet room is a concerning room. Especially when you reflect on the pre-K guidelines, with oral language being the first, well, actually the second domain, the first domain being social and emotional learning. We know how important those 2 domains are because they work so closely together. When children learn to communicate with adults and peers and have the opportunity to, it builds their self-confidence, their ability to self-regulate, to build meaningful relationships, but also to connect with the content that you're about to share with them. And adult scaffolding. Adults are asking questions like I did, possibly extending on their responses, and then again encouraging those peer-to-peer conversations. The 5 ingredients of active learning comes from high school. So why this approach is best for young children? Well, for example, the materials. We've mentioned a few. Materials need access to a rich variety of materials to explore and experiment with. This supports sensory development as well as that cognitive growth. Manipulation. Hands-on, we know, is essential. Physically engaging with materials helps children construct knowledge through trial and error. They're not going to get it right every time, and that's what we want, because we want them to build that resiliency and to keep trying and growing. Giving children the power to choose builds autonomy, motivation, and engagement in the learning process. It's also a really quick way to de-escalate a child who's not interested or protesting that activity. Oftentimes, especially I've noticed with writing, children are usually hesitant to write because they have a feeling that they're not going to be successful. There's a lot of reasons for that. Potentially someone before has told them they can't write or they can't read, right? And they just need someone to engage them. Well, oftentimes, the first step is giving them a choice. Today we're writers, and you get to choose what writing instrument you want. Today we're readers, and you get to choose what book you would like to look at today when we're doing small group. Child language and thought. Encouraging children to express their thinking promotes language development and then that deeper understanding. We don't want yes and no responses, right? And we want children to discuss with their friends and with you what's working and what's not working, and what they're willing to try, and anything new that they've learned. And then finally, the adult scaffolding. When adults support, extend, and then guide children's exploration without taking it over, that's huge, right? We don't want to be telling them what we want them to do. We want to be co-participants in the experience. What it does is it fosters that competence and that cognitive development. I will tell you this as an instructional coach. Anytime I get asked or invited into a classroom to observe, because the teacher's been struggling perhaps with classroom management or engagement, 9 times out of 10, the reason that they're having a problem is because they're lacking these 5 ingredients. For example, They want the children to all sit down at the table and wait for them to pass out materials. Where does that cause a problem? What do we know about 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds and waiting, right? It's a challenge for them. They're not ready for that. Doesn't mean we don't want them to learn eventually, but right now they may not be ready. So having materials and a choice of materials ready to go as soon as the lesson starts can eliminate a lot of that misbehavior, conflict, and disengagement. Having everyone sit and do the same thing without choice or manipulation. So for example, coloring sheets, right? You're going to get low engagement and the potential for behavioral concerns because the children aren't actively engaged in what you're providing for them. So 9 times out of 10, if I can get a teacher to consider adding these 5 ingredients to whatever lesson they're doing, whether it be large group, but more importantly in that small group, we can eliminate many of the distractions and behaviors that we see in that small group setting. So what does it look like? Here we have one of our master teachers, and I would like to share with you what a small group lesson looks like. You'll see she has a small group that's led by an instructional assistant. She has a small group that's led by herself. She also has an independent table. And notice how she sets them up for success. And while you watch, look to see, does everyone have their materials? Do they have some choice? Are they manipulating? Is it a quiet classroom, or are the students engaging with each other? And what role is the teacher playing? Here we go.
How do you want us to move to small groups? She's going to choose. A cat? She wants us to move to small groups. Like a cat. Wait, what does the cat say? Meow. And what does the cat have? Ears. And the cat also has a tail. Are you ready? Let's become cats and go to small groups. Oh, it is. I'm going to be right back in just a minute. I want you just to look. I'm going to show you in a minute. I'll be right back. So you guys can have an idea of something that you can make when you're here. Kind of looks like a leaf man, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do you notice there's acorns? What are these? Leaves. There's even eyeballs. There's lots of cutters for you guys to use. I'm going to let you guys get creative, and I'm going to come back and check on you in a few minutes, okay? All right. You need help? Can you ask your friend to help you open that? Okay, I'll be right back, okay? Have a seat, Rarity.
I saw you in your house with my house. Ooh. Hey, look. My eyes. Baby. Look at Minnie. Look. Ew. Oh, that's cool. Joey. Look at crazy eyes. Look.
What man? Do you remember when I read this story yesterday? Yeah, it's called Leaf Man. Liam, wait. Let me see. Simon says,
I'll go first. My is a better.
And then, hands in your lap. Yesterday I read that story to you. It's about a leaf man, right? And the wind blew all the leaves down.
Okay, now we can do it
It was
together.
yeah, but look.
Everybody, let's pick a card. Look, I'm gonna pick.
And then the wind blew, and it changed into something else.
Yes.
What happened?
What happened?
It snapped.
It turned, and then he made a mouse with it,
Yeah, it snapped.
and the wind blew, and then what was next? A chicken, and then the wind blew, and what else did we see? Duck, and then the wind blew, and then what did we see next? And the wind blew.
Now we can all do it, okay? Now you're going to
That was a turkey. Do you remember that? Yeah. In the story, there were leaves and sticks. And what do we call these? Acorns. Yeah. All of these are items that you can find outside, right, Liam? Wait just 1 second, okay? We're going to use these items, our loose parts, and we're going to try our best to make a leaf man. You can't see my leaf man? He's got eyes. He's got some feet. I even gave him a silly hat. Wait, when I'm done with my leaf man, guess what? I can take it apart and I can try to make something different from the story. Or a mouse, or even a chicken, or some ducks. Are you ready to try? Let's see, what can you make with these items? Ready? Let's start. Let me see what you can make with these items. What do you want to grab first? You're going to make a man. Kenzie, what are you going to make with the items? A girl. Oh, a leaf girl. I like that. What are you going to make with your items?
I got his head.
You're going to make an acorn?
I got a big body.
How about we try a butterfly? Do you want to try a butterfly? Let's see. What do you need to make a butterfly?
This is gonna be
Do you want to try some wings?
I need a bigger tummy.
You need a bigger tummy. Do you want to borrow my tummy?
I got mine. Oh, look at these.
Those are gonna. What are those gonna be?
Ew.
They look like legs.
Yeah. Feet.
They're feet. Oh, I think I'm gonna make something else since I finished my exam. I'm gonna try to build something new.
But some gonna make.
What should I make?
How we make a duck?
Okay, I'll do a duck. That's a good idea.
A duck.
A duck or a dog?
A duck.
Oh, a duck. Okay, let me try that.
You want to make
I'm gonna leave the book here in case you want to grab it and open the book and look at the pictures. Okay?
Can we pass me this duck?
Thank you, ma'am. Pass her a stick. Can I take a picture of your butterfly? Okay. Ready? I love that. Are you still working on yours? Okay, let me know when. Is it ready? Okay, what did you make? Is that her? Are those her eyes?
Yeah.
And that's her. And what's this? Her little. Is that her mouth? Yeah. Okay. And this is her belly. And these are. And then these are
I did it.
her legs. Let's take a picture of that. That's really cool. I love it.
William, be quiet.
Are you sure? Did you make yours like a leaf also? Where are her arms? Where's her arms? It's okay. Levi, what do you need? What are you gonna name her? It's a girl or a boy? What's her name? Sevi? I'm gonna go for
She's kind of tricky, right? Do you know what sound G makes? No, g, g, g.
Miss Daisy's gonna make.
That's right. And then I'm gonna put my letter back. What are you gonna hunt for?
Watch Miss Daisy.
X? Oh, beautiful. Let me see.
It's gonna be mine.
Why this? This.
Good job.
This.
Which one's that one? Ooh, she can help you with that. What letter is that?
X.
No, what letter is that one? E. That's right. Okay, now I'm gonna put that. Ooh, does anybody know this letter?
One.
V. That's right. What sound does V make? Like vacuum, right?
I like that.
You like vacuums? Do you use one at home to help mommy? Yeah.
I do toys.
You help your mommy make the dinner?
What can I use for eyes?
Yeah, let me see. What did you get? A. Can you make an A? Let's see.
Okay, ready? Watch me.
Good job. That's awesome. That's letter U. U. You start up at the top and you do a little. Beautiful.
Can I put a hat on? Hey, we are going to start to clean up and all of us are going to meet on the carpet. Got it? Let's go. I had fun making a leaf band. Did you have fun? Hey, Listen, when you are at work and these items are in our loose card shelf, you can make a leaf man again today at work time, okay? All of these items are going to be on our loose card shelf, and you can make a leaf man at work time, okay? I'll even leave the book there for you. Can you help me put these back on the loose card shelf? Do you know where they are? Jump, little scarecrow, jump, little scarecrow, jump, little scarecrow, jump right down. Awesome. Did you guys have fun with those activities?
Yeah.
I put all of the loose cards for the Leaf Man activity back on that shelf. When we come back in from recess, if you want to try to make a Leaf Man, all the items are over there. Okay? Got it? All right. If you're wearing blue, go line up.
All right, so I hope that you saw all of the 5 ingredients, and every time I watch one of these videos, I'm captivated by all of the language that's taking place, even the things that you hear in the background. So did you notice that she was describing observations, seeing what the children were doing, making comments? She was asking a lot of questions. How did you do that? What are you going to do next? When the instructional assistant was doing the letters, pulling they were doing on the leaf hunt with the letters, and they picked the letter V, and she said, what sound does it make? Vacuum. And then a child chimed in, oh, I vacuum at home. And she went on to continue to ask about that, connecting with her. They extend their thinking. What happens if we try that? One of the little students, their belly was too small. They wanted a bigger belly. So what happens if we try this? Would you like to try this instead? Would you like to borrow mine? And there was a lot of celebrations. Students acknowledging effort in addition to actual success, especially when it came to writing some of those letters and sounds. You could tell there were a lot of celebrations going on. So these are all ways that the adult, which sometimes is the hardest part, is knowing what to say, how to say it, and how often to say without taking over the lesson. And through purposefully planned questions and opportunities to extend that thinking and just notice what's going on, the magic happens. So what does the research say about the 5 ingredients of active learning? NACE says active learning, in which the child is the key agent in his or her own learning, is at the heart of developmentally appropriate practices. When children are involved in choosing, manipulating, exploring, talking about what they're doing, learning is deeper and more meaningful. This comes from the book The Intentional Teacher. This approach is also backed by constructivist theories of learning from scholars like Jean Piaget and Vygotsky, who emphasize that children learn best when they're actively involved in the learning process and supported by adults who understand their developmental needs, can capture that, extend it, encourage it, embrace it, all of those things that the teacher as the co-learner and facilitator in that classroom can make happen with a proper design approach. So now we're going to have a chance to apply the learning. I pulled a CLI Engage lesson for this activity. We're going to review the lesson. It's a top-notch, high-quality lesson. We're going to look to see if it has the 5 ingredients of active learning, and if not, are there some more little tweaks we could make to make sure that those ingredients are included. We would post the first 3 ingredients in the chat, but instead, I'll have you write them down on the little note paper that we asked you to get at the beginning so you could take notes. So think about what are the materials? Does everyone have theirs? Are they being able to manipulate? Are there opportunities for choice? Does the lesson outline some of the discussion points that the teacher might help facilitate? So the lesson I chose was the Circle Activity Collection on Patterns. The children, the objective of this lesson is that they'll identify a unit of a pattern and create patterns using manipulatives. This particular lesson could be done in small group or whole group, but we'll assume that it's small group for the purpose of this particular presentation. Materials, snap cubes, 2 colors per child. And then it says, for preparation, give yourself 5 red and 5 blue snap cubes. Give each child 5 cubes of one color and 5 cubes of another color. In the teach piece, you can see that the teacher is introducing this as a game that they'll play with patterns. She explains that patterns are all around us, and they're going to look at some patterns. They might notice someone's shirt. That's usually where I go to. Or someone's shoes if they have blue and white stripes or things like that. The teacher will then show an A-B pattern using snap cubes to the students, red, blue, and snap them all together. As she pulls each red, blue unit toward her, she'll say, this is an A-B pattern, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. And then she encourages the children to help her choose the next 2 cubes in her pattern. The directions in this lesson suggest she say, what would come next? And the children's potential responses are red, blue. For the guided practice, now it's your turn to create a pattern. You have 2 colors of snap cubes in front of you to make your unit. She asks each child, what colors do you have? Snap your 2 colors together to make units. Now create an A-B pattern using your units. Ask each child, what is your pattern? Children will say their pattern. And then she's guided to say, he or she, unsnap your units and give all of your cubes to the person next to you so that then they'll change. The students will then exchange the bags of colors, each bag having only 2 colors, and encourage them to talk about the patterns. To summarize the lesson, she will say, you did a wonderful job creating patterns today. I will place these cubes in the math center for you to practice creating A-B patterns. I'll give you a second just to look over and think to yourself, were there plenty of materials? Did everyone get to manipulate? Was there choice? Who was doing most of the talking, the children or the adults? And was that provided for? And was there scaffolding built in? So here we go. Do the students have choice in this lesson? Do they have plenty of materials to choose from? Now here's a key question. How can we add materials maybe to give more choice? If you recall, they were given a bag that had 2 colors and then they switched. My question is could there have been an opportunity there where we could have provided more choice? Were they able to explore and manipulate it independently? Not knowing if this was an introductory lesson or one that they had had some familiarity with, maybe taught in whole group, I wonder if there was an opportunity for them to maybe explore a little bit more, maybe with different colors. Again, not being there in the moment, right? We can only assume what we can assume by what was in print. But ask yourself, if you were teaching this lesson, are there opportunities where they could explore and manipulate independently? Maybe outside of the center time where she mentioned she would be putting the materials, because that is a great opportunity as well. Are the children encouraged to share or discuss with their partners? If you recall, she did have a turn and talk time for them to share their patterns. How could we add adult questions to support and extend their thinking? What I happen to know about CLI Engage lessons is that if you scroll to the bottom, they have scaffold down and scaffold ups for children who maybe are continuing to struggle with with it, or those that find it too easily. But what if they already know this skill? Can we differentiate it or make it more challenging? So now that we did lesson number 1, let's do lesson number 2. Are you ready? Here we go. That's it. Ask yourself, are there plenty of materials? If we handed this out at our small group, is there choice? Are they manipulating? Do you think there would be a lot of discussion among the students while they do this that's on topic? Do you suspect that the teacher is there? And if she were there scaffolding, what would she be asking that could potentially extend their thinking? What we know is that the Texas Education Agency emphasizes that pre-kindergarten education should be developmentally appropriate, focusing on hands-on play-based learning experiences rather than traditional worksheets. And that example gives you exactly why. Because having a worksheet in front of them with a very closed, predetermined answer doesn't allow for that exploration. And guess what happens to engagement and behavior and oral development and social emotional skills if those are the kind of activities or lessons that are being leaned on or depended on the most in that classroom? The Texas pre-kindergarten guidelines are pretty clear. They say that the guidelines themselves are not intended to be used as a curriculum assessment tool or checklist. They're not to be meant to be used in isolation or to stifle the creativity of the caregivers or educators. Rather, they're meant to serve as a catalyst, a resource for families, educators, and administrators to provide developmentally appropriate guidance and practice around young children's development and learning in this beautiful and special pre-K environment. And that is a quote directly from the Texas Education Agency pre-K guidelines. So how do you plan your next steps? I encourage you to look at how the materials and small group organization in your class is currently running. Do you have baskets or trays for each student? Do you have enough materials? Remember, if you're teaching in small group, you don't have to have a class set of anything. You just need to have enough for that small group. Where can I learn more if I would like to explore this concept of engagement in small group instruction? And how can you take the lessons that you use already and incorporate the process of identifying the 5 ingredients, much like we did with that beautiful lesson from CLI Engage? It's a great, solid lesson with a few minor tweaks. You can make sure that those ingredients are included. Can you do this with a teammate? What are the advantages of getting a friend or a coworker to participate in this with you, especially in the planning part? Can you work together to share materials and the prepping responsibilities? Because that's really important. If the materials aren't ready to go, guess what doesn't happen? So let's show you some ways that we actually coach our teachers to help prepare. You can see that we use these little crates and we label them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And inside, the baskets are ready to go with the materials. So there are in the Monday box are the materials for all of the Monday lessons. You can tell they're getting messy with some beans, so they chose disposable containers with lids. The lesson plan is in there so that if the lesson is being taught by the instructional assistant, you can hand them the lesson. We do use a lot of CLI Engage, which is beautiful because you can hand it to the teacher and they can take off with it. You can see Tuesday's lesson, they're doing Play-Doh and they're playing body part bingo. On Wednesday, there's a writing activity and a bag exploration lesson that they will be doing. On Thursday, they're doing some numbers, and they have colored dice activities. So the colored dice are in there, as well as some emotion cards. They're have an SEL lesson. And then they have your Friday activity. If you look at the picture on the left, the large one, you'll also see the totes ready for the independent activities in those little white buckets or wash tubs labeled Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Inside there is a fine motor activity that is not new to the students so that it can be done independently. So while the teacher and the instructional assistant are working out of bin on the Monday bin, the independent table has something planned and ready to go for them that's familiar enough that they can, and engaging enough that they can do it independently. Asking how to prep and store is the number one question that we get when we do instructional coaching. So I felt like it was important to show you an actual example of it in place. In my classroom, I kind of had a routine. So on Monday, I would think about the next Monday and pull those materials. On Tuesday, I would think about the next Tuesday and pull those materials. And I would do that so by Friday, when I walked out of my classroom, everything was ready for the following week, so that when I walked in after a weekend of being with my family and enjoying my friends and being something other than a teacher for a weekend, I came in ready to be what I needed to be for those students and had everything at my fingertips so it ran smoothly. I know this was a lot of information. I want to thank you for taking the time to be here today. As I mentioned, my name is Barb Triplett. I'm with Northside Independent School District. I'm pretty easy to find. If you wanted to look me up in the school district directory, and reach out if you have any additional questions. I encourage you to think about how you can apply this in your classrooms today and in the future, and hope that it helps you provide engaging small group instruction using the 5 ingredients of active learning. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your conference.